January 2013 I arrived at the Jersey Shore, 3 months after the Franken storm hit the East Coast. At first I was fascinated by the landscape, but then I discovered the situation of the people at the Jersey Shore in a freezing cold winter.
Everything was underwater. It completely destroyed the motors, the machinery. They were trashed. So I had just got rid of it, and I chose not to go back into business again because I would have had to take out another loan, and I really didn't want to do that again. So my husband and I decided to turn our small little building into a temporary apartment so we could live there while we're getting the house rebuilt, which could take a year and a half. So at least we're back in Union Beach, and now I gotta look for a job. When we came back in the morning, just the foundation was here. The front porch, the back porch was there. Demolition company has come since then and just kind of crunched things up a little bit. But there was nothing, other than we found some dishes and some personal things in the muck. Anything on my first floor, I didn't find. And no kitchen table, no dining room table, nothing. We think what happened was when the surge came in, it sucked everything back out. We know how high the water was it's torn down now, but we had a couple of trees in the front here. And if you see there's that red buoy, that's an actual buoy that should be out in the bay. That was on the property when we bought it. My husband decided to tie it to the tree so that it wouldn't float away in case we got flooded. And what it did was when the water came in, it raised up 15 or 16 feet and scraped the bark off the tree as high as it went. So we know the water was about 14 feet high that went through here. I have pictures of it.
The water came up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 slats. Water came up this high. This high. Everybody's been hit hard. I mean, it's the town's about 2 square miles. 1.8 miles of it got water damage. I mean, your neighbor could be across the street get nothing. You could be on the other side and you get water, and that happened to a few areas around here. Down the street this way, there's BERSA, which is a Bay Area Sewage Authority, and then you got the bay down that end. And when the storm surge came, because I've always been told that if it gets 12 feet down the bay, it's going to come in your crawl space. With the storm surge coming, they were predicting 11.5 feet. With that 11.5 feet plus the storm surge, it came up. It came up at least 5 feet up off the ground. And that 5 feet brought it in about 1.5 feet inside the house. This survived because the dining room table, that stuff over there, it's over 100 years old. It goes back to when my wife's mother was a child. The Holiday Inn on 35 has been housing a lot of people from this area and from other areas.
Isn't that really quite pricey to live in a hotel? Or?
Well, it was the only place for everybody to be able to go where they could stay somewhere because their homes were damaged.
The water was just not in the house, outside the house was just under this window. So from the grass up, that's about 9 feet, and then in the house was up to about here. But we lost our whole basement downstairs. I lost my mother when I was 20, and my grandparents all within a few years, and I'm an only child. And so all of the pictures, I had my yearbooks, I had my mother's yearbooks, I even had my grandparents' yearbooks. So stuff it's irreplaceable. Up here is stuff, it's furniture, it's sheetrock, it's, because the house shifted, there's all cracks in the ceiling. So when they lift the house, they're gonna have to level it. It's kind of hard to tell on camera, but if you stand here and you look that way, it's almost about 6 inches that it's down on that side. This area probably bothers me the most. Because the stuff down here we can't get back.
So where are you living at the moment?
We're staying at a friend's house. We wanted to stay in town. I have 3 kids. So I have a 5, a 12, and a 14-year-old. And they're friends, and their teachers and their classmates have been their support. They're in different schools now because the school was destroyed. So they're in temporary schools. But for them to have that emotional support, we wanted to stay in town. We were fortunate. It is hard because some of their friends are in town, some of them are in other towns.
The water, the insurance company put a line over there, which is where the water settled. You see that black line? And then about 5 inches above that black line, I had to question what it was because I didn't understand why we had 2 water lines in the house. They said above that was a wave line. So we had a wave line and a settlement line, and that's where the water settled, which I think is about 6 feet. This was what was the kitchen here. And then to the left was bathroom.
This is not just water. This is the
I
oil and the
wish
gas.
I knew that before I was in here. Me and my
No.
sister are going, smells like blood
Yeah,
in
you can
here."
smell the
It
oil.
was all
A lot of
sewer.
places you can smell the
Yeah,
oil.
you know?
The oil, gasoline, everything from your car. When your car is underwater, everything.
Sewage.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
sewer.
sewage. When
Yeah.
your toilet is
sewer
5 feet
authority.
underwater, the water that's in the toilet doesn't discriminate against the water that's outside the toilet. The nasty stuff that's in the toilet doesn't stay in the toilet. It's in the water.
Well, we have the
And it's on
sewer
your couch
company
and everything
right
else that was
in the
here.
back of us.
You know?
So they could, they were flooding out too. So the first day that right after the storm, I came to check on the house, and
It smelled bad, right?
yeah, but it progressively got bad. Like at first I thought it was just the seawater, right? The second day I'm in here, and I'm like, oh, that smells really bad. And then one of the volunteers came in here, and he comes and he's giving me a mask and gloves, and he's saying, no, you have to have this white thing on. And I'm like, why? He's like, don't you know that this is butt
this house is
water?
material.
This is butt water.
And the houses in Silverton, after the water has receded, I went in there,
Yeah.
and I was like, your house smells like fish. Then I went in the crawl space. A month later, a month after the
Not
storm,
fish.
I was in the crawl space, and we were digging a trench because we were trying to get the water to go to the sump pump. And there was fish still in the water.
Yes.
Little
Yeah.
minnows
Our-
swimming by. I said, well, I can't
Our
believe there's
koi.
still fish.
Our koi got up and left.
Yeah, they opened the crawl space. They opened the
They
crawl
left.
space door, and because of the sun, the fish rushed to the door.
Yeah.
And the kids, the guy's children, were feeding the fish.
You know what we did? We took a few of the TVs because they were lower, so we took them out of the building. But as far as, we didn't even, nothing, we took nothing because we put everything up, put everything on top of the bar, we sandbagged, we prepared. We lifted everything, we had everything up on crates, everything up on tables. When we came around the corner, you know, I expected to have some kind of, maybe some water coming in, some kind, you know, you maybe have to paint or do some rugs or shop vac, something on those lines. I never, ever, ever expected for there to be no building. I mean, we can't even find my office. We couldn't. There was a part of our deck, the big part, this part over here, we called it Guam, because it was the furthest part from the kitchen. So it's way, way out here. That piece, and somebody said to me, you know, early on, there's a part of your deck on 8th Street. And I said, 8th Street? And I thought, when they said a part of your deck, I honestly thought it was like pieces of wood. It was this whole piece. The whole piece snapped off, and then another piece over here snapped off, and that was 8 streets in. The whole piece.
We were in the house. We were sitting in the living room playing Scrabble with the kids by candle, and it sounded like a train hit the house. And then
Oh, so you were inside when the...
yeah.
So you were waiting for it to happen in a way.
We kept watching the water, and we knew the water was coming up, but of course no one expected the walls to just crumble. So during high tide, the water does come up a little bit in the marsh. And last year during Hurricane Irene, we did have water in the yard, but nothing compares to what Sandy was. We thought we were prepared, and you just can't prepare for failure. It was foundation failure. It came up through the vents. I mean, it just started pouring in. It came up through the basement door. The force of the water was so bad, it actually pushed the door open.
I got a phone call at 6 o'clock in the morning, and it said that our friends were in their attic.
Yeah.
So I got on my truck and I went as fast as I could to get to them. I was about a half a mile from them. And I said to the rescue workers, I said, we have friends down there. And they said, where are they? And I said, I gave them their address. And they said, well, we have a boat on that street, but we didn't know they were there. I said, well, they're up in the attic. They can't yell out to you.
Yeah.
And so they basically broke the door down, floated the boat into their house. They got out of the attic into the boat, and then they floated down and they came to stay at our house. We have a large family. We have 5 children. We had 4 families, including our own.
Right.
3 other families come stay with us because they had nowhere to go. I got a phone call, 12 o'clock at night. I kept checking my friends. Are you okay? You okay? He says, we're not okay. And I know he was never asked for help, this guy.
Right.
And I said, I didn't even ask him why. I said, we'll be right there.
Right.
Sorry. So we went down there and got him out of there. But the next day, I walked down that road to go to his house, and I was in hip waders. I know I'm not the tallest guy, but that water was this high in the street
Yeah.
by his house.
Yeah.
in other parts of the country they might just not even know that the
A lot-
situation is still that sort of way, right?
Yeah, it's
Because-
true. You know what
A lot
happens?
of people don't.
When it's in the news, it's big news because it's a big event.
Yeah.
But after the big event is over, I've been through a couple of these types of storms in different areas. I was in Florida for Hurricane Charlie, and once the storm is over and the news goes over, then you have to deal with the aftermath, which is way worse than the storm itself because the storm only lasts,
Right.
12, 24 hours, whatever.
Right.
But the aftermath takes so long to get it back together. You can't just come back and start drywalling wet walls and everything.
No.
This is an old house. This is probably 50, 60 years old. The siding that's on there, the original sheathing, and it's no longer something we use. But because it's been saturated so much, it's no longer any good, and it's going to cause a health issue if we don't take it out. So we literally have to take the siding off the side of the house, take the sheathing off, put a new sheathing on, the regular plywood that we normally use, and then put the siding back on. The company that moves the houses, that lifts them, they said finish everything, and then they're going to raise the house up 6 to 8 feet. Right?
So you lift the whole house with a crane,
Yes.
or
No, they do it with a house lifting. They put steel beams under the
Yeah.
house, and they raise the house a little bit at a time, all one shot.
Right.
All together, one
Yeah.
shot. And then once the house is back up, it gets bolted back down to the new foundation. We build a new foundation under it, bolted down to the new foundation, which can't go back down right away because the concrete has to dry. And then once it gets bolted down, then we can hook up the electric and the water and everything back again. So we have to make everything new. Yeah.
and then the house is just you just have to build a few steps to get
Yeah,
in your
a
house.
lot
Only
of
front
steps.
porch, because now the front porch is going to be at the bottom of the foundation.
Yeah.
So
Right.
now we're going to have to raise the front porch up. So we got to build a whole new front porch about 8 feet taller so that we can get in the house.
A lot of steps.
That's why we chose to do the renovation now, because if we raise the house first, it's going to be a lot more work to go into that, getting material and people and everything back up and down off the 8 feet higher. It changes the whole job and there's more expense to the job. So we're trying to keep the expense down so that they can afford to finish everything up.
I got to take time for myself a lot of times and just think about it. I come here every day. I get off work in the morning. I come here every morning, check the mail, check and see if there's anything that has to be taken to the apartment, pack stuff. I go back to the house around 12 o'clock, sleep for a couple hours, get my kids from school, go back home, sleep a couple of more hours, and go back to work at night. I've been doing that since day one. It takes its toll on you, but somebody's got to be strong. You can't let it get to you. My wife, like I said, she hates coming here. My kids hate coming here because they don't like seeing this place the way it is now. Like they said, it's an ugly home now. It's not to me, you have a house, but that's all you have. You don't have a home.
Well, we had some people that came in to help us take out the sheetrock and start removing stuff, so I had to go back to work, so I was trying to leave markings so they knew where, what sheetrock to leave, what still has to come out. We still have to come and finish pulling more stuff out, but having to work full time and not be able to be here during the day when there's helpers coming in. So we got a couple of my daughter's chalk and marked all the walls with X's or out, whatever had to be taken out, and the few pieces on the side that we're hoping to be able to salvage or leave. So, but we're still having a lot of problems with the molds. They've come and they've sprayed, but because there's no power and no heat, the mold is starting to creep up the walls, and we didn't realize we had problems with the roof in the back, so we didn't realize till about a month ago that their pieces are off the roof. My hope is to be back before Christmas, but I don't know. We're hoping, but we haven't even gotten money from insurance. FEMA gave us $105. So they basically said, go apply for a loan, but they don't give you all the details of the loan. They put a second mortgage, a lien on your house if if you take that money. It's very specific with how the money can be used. And then once you do get your flood insurance money, you have to pay back the loan. They take that money out of how much the loan is for. So if you have flood insurance, you have to wait on your flood insurance essentially. But it's been 3 months. They haven't even finalized my claim yet.
In order to keep their flood rates from going through the roof, the insurance company wants the house brought up this much higher. So where I'm standing, this will be my floor. This will be where I'm standing. This will be the floor level.
Right.
Okay. They want the bottom of the floor joist to be above that line in order to feel secure that they're not going to put out billions of dollars again in order to cover everybody.
So in the future, if something like that happened again, do you think that sort of line would make the difference then?
They think so. This is
Yeah.
the powers that be with the insurance industry and everything else, the government, that feels that if we went up another 8 feet,
Yeah.
I personally feel that there's no guarantee that it's not going to happen again tomorrow, you know?
Yeah.
So we'll do what we can, but, you know, the higher you bring it up, now you got to deal with more high winds,
Yeah.
Right.
you know? So if a taller house is going to take more damage from the winds, a lower house is going to take more damage from the flood, you know? I don't know that there's a way to get at it.
Lights are like, everywhere around,
Yeah, the parts that didn't get affected
Right.
had to stay, but now you see, like I banged into this light with a 2x4 the other day, it has to come down. It wasn't affected, but the insurance is going to say, well, it's there and it's up and it's fine, leave it there.
Right, the insurance isn't
But I'm
gonna
saying
pay
I
for
can't work
this.
around this stuff anymore.
Yeah.
I have to pull the drywall down, even though it wasn't wet. I can't finish my job
Right,
without taking it down, and the electrician can't run electric and pipes can't go through.
right.
And, we can't leave the job where, you can't just cut it off at one point and walk away from it. It has to go from point A to point B the proper way. Otherwise, it's going to be done in a haphazard way. What will happen is, I've already heard of some instances where people hurried up to get back together because they just couldn't stand it.
Right.
And so they got their house back together, and then the wiring, which was wet, didn't look wet, sparked and burned the house down, and now they have no house. Now the second problem.
Because most of the people will probably be able to get it done within a year, and then
Yeah.
even after that, you're still going to drive around and see it everywhere. People who they couldn't get the money, or they just took their money and got out of their house,
Right.
got everything lost.
Like I said, we're fortunate because our insurance company gave us a check, so we could start. Most of these people are still waiting for a check.
But what a lot of people going through right now is a lot of people fighting with their mortgage companies. A lot of the mortgage companies don't want to let go, are telling people that they can't knock down their homes. There's a lot of people putting out of pocket, spending what they have in their bank account to get the places fixed. There's other people like me, we're waiting for the insurance company, because a lot of us can't afford to put out of pocket to get the house fixed. And then when you do get your stuff, the money's not what they told you you're going to get. It's actually less. So that's where you got to get surveyors, adjusters, engineers, all that, because I have to raise my house at least 3 feet. There's other people in town that had to raise their house 5 feet. Some have to go up actually 16 feet up off the ground because of the flood maps, the way they have them now. It's just a big gamble. Everything with the insurance company and rebuilding, it's all a big gamble. If you don't gamble on it, you might not be able to rebuild the way you want. Her house is in worse shape than mine, and she's having a hard time with her insurance company. Actually, it's the mortgage company too. They're giving her saying that she can't knock it down to rebuild. She's better off knocking it down and rebuild, because I've been inside and I've seen how bad it is. She has to take up her whole floors just like I do inside. I got to take up all my floors so they can dry up the mold, because the mold is setting in, and once the floors all dry up, I guarantee you in my house, the rest of the floors are all going to buckle up like little mountains. Yeah.
been denied by every agency in the government for help. At least we're here, and I could start paying back everybody that has helped us, pay it forward, help other people, now that I'm back in town. Because I don't think if it wasn't for family, friends, the town, the community, the mayor, the council, the permit office allowing us to live in the building, all these people helped us survive and move forward. And now that I'm back in Union Beach, I'm hoping that I can volunteer a little bit more and help out somebody else. Because there's still a lot of people in town who need a lot of help. And this guy next door, this is his trailer. He's actually living here on our property. We allowed him to, because the trailer was too big to put on his property. So we allowed him to, because we're probably not going to start building in 6 to 10 months. So at least he has some place to live in the meantime.
It's horrible. I mean, the town has come together. I give kudos to this town, because if it wasn't for this town, we'd be in worse off condition than what we are now. We've actually wound up helping other towns, because the way we were set up with the food pantries, giving out cleaning supply, giving out food, the National Guard, all these help agencies came down the next 2 days after Sandy hit us. Everybody was helping. You had Christian Aid Ministry, Amish people. You had people from Tennessee coming up. There was a group from Louisiana, from Raleigh, that got hit with Katrina. They came and they helped. Not only that, for the kids in the school, they made every kid in this town, no matter what age, there was a backpack school supply for them to continue school.
And that's the one good thing that's come out of Sandy, is that I've seen such good people. I haven't seen such good people, mass amount of good people coming out to help each other. People that don't even know each other. Maybe you'll take the last $10 they have here, go buy a sandwich, go get lunch. Or, can I just help you with that? Just unbelievable amount of good people that are coming out of the woodwork. This was the house I grew up in. I live in Hazlitt. So they were all living with me.
Oh, it's your grandma. Yes,
This is my mother.
Yes, so, yeah.
Yeah. With 6 dogs, 1 bathroom, 15 people in a 3-bedroom little tiny ranch.
Yeah.
But, I've heard of other people having 30 people in their house.
We had about 30 people, right?
Yeah, we had 29.
There you go.
What did I say?
Hold on, I got a count on my phone.
He took account of everybody that was at our house.
12 cars in our driveway, 29 people staying with us. We had 3 dogs, 2 cats, 2 birds, and 2 iguanas.
Anything that somebody had to come.
Yeah.
That's right.
You have to take them lock, stock, and barrel. You can't take them. You can't say you can come and a cat. Is it a cat?
Yeah.
But we don't have a cat.
You can't say
The
leave
cat
your
is
dog
upstairs
home.
meowing, and you know.
You can't tell people, now that you've lost everything in your life.
Yeah, the only
leave
thing that's
your
going to give you a
dog
little
home.
comfort,
Put your dog in a shelter. You can't
and
tell that to people.
it's true, and we have 2 dogs of our own, so we had an animal conflict.
Yes.
Because I don't want somebody's dog eating our dog or our dog eating their dog,
Yeah.
or the cat eating the iguana because we had to go out.
Right.
It was crazy. I mean, I went to another friend's house and cars were destroyed, and he had managed to get back up and running pretty well.
Yeah.
But I told him, I said, we have enough that we can get by. It'll be a little inconvenience, but nothing compared to not having a car at all. So I told him to take one of our cars,
Right.
so that he had something to get to work in.
That's how most of these people are surviving, is out of the kindness of other people. People who have taken other people in, their families, their pets, given them cars, given them food. That's how people are making it. Other people are helping other people, and that's the greatest thing that came out of Sandy.
It's really the community, right?
It's the greatest thing
Oh,
that
yeah.
came out
They
of
were,
Sandy.
my brother, I'm out of school. I have 4 siblings in school, and the teachers were asking the kids if they needed generators, they needed a place to stay. Like, they were like, we'll get this stuff for you. We'll help you out however you need it. So everybody's really pitching in. I mean, I still know people who are borrowing other people's cars, trying to get to work.
We had 15 extra people the first few weeks of the storm. My manager and her daughter and her parents are still in our basement. They lost their home. I had two brother-in-laws with their family. We had some of the kitchen help because everybody was nobody had, no place to go. So for a few weeks, quite a few weeks, but still, my manager and her family are down in our basement. But in the beginning, it was like 15, 16 people.
The one great thing though I like about Union Beach though is I've worked in lots of houses, talked to lots of people. I've never met the Union Beacher that says, "Oh, I had it the worst."
I was talking to a woman yesterday. She was actually in Florida, and I was telling her the situation here, and she couldn't believe it. She thought it was over. She thought people were living in their houses, like nice and warm and cozy. And I'm like, no, we just started to try and pick up our lives. People are still cold unless people purchased them themselves or rented them themselves. There's no heat. There's no electric. There's nothing, and people are living in the houses like this.
But they still have to go to their normal jobs, and they still have to.
You still have to live your
Yeah,
life.
your bills don't get suspended.
Yeah.
Your bills keep coming. you
Nobody
know?
said, you don't have to pay us.
How is that sort of situation if you have to go to work and you still?
My
like-
mother
Yeah.
is 68 years old, and she's working 14, 15-hour days every day because she didn't have enough insurance to really cover this. And we can't get a loan because she's 68 years old. She didn't really have to
So
work.
what other work does she do?
She is a nurse. She's an
Okay.
infusion nurse. So she travels all over the state of New Jersey, and she goes to patients and she hooks them up for, they need IV therapy at home. That's what she does. So at 68, she's probably working harder now than ever in her life. And we hope that we'll be able to get a loan to finish the house because we didn't have enough insurance because this never happens.
It's the emotion, it's the memories, it's the beliefs and the faith that will help. I still have my moments when I remember, I think, oh, I needed something silly. Christmas was really hard. I had, all of our Christmas decorations were downstairs. And I had decorations from when I was a kid because my mother passed, so I had her stuff. My grandparents passed, so I had that stuff. So decorating the tree was always, it was a trip down memory lane because I had ornaments that were my grandparents. They were very old and very fragile. And so that stuff, yeah, I'm gonna miss, but it doesn't take away the spirit of who they were or what's gone. It's it's physical stuff, and I still have my moments. Like I said, being downstairs really still bothers me.
I'm looking, if I'm lucky, maybe June, July around there if I'm lucky. If not, hopefully I could be in a house or in a pod. Excuse me, not a pod, modular. Before the winter comes in next year. I'm hoping to be back in my home by then.
it was a very different kind of Christmas this year. Jacob Bob's, that from Gigi's restaurant stuff too. There's ornaments here that are Texas. That one there, found like in the days right after the hurricane by one of the fire departments. Yeah, somebody did that actually works with like the first responders. So they actually went and kind of customized them and painted them like some of the ones from the different emergency services in town.
I think the one thing that's important, you have to realize, you can plan all you want for the future, but sometimes it's out of your control. And not having that control is really hard, but it's really important to live in the moment. You know, enjoy your kids, enjoy the little things, because this is stuff. Like I said, we were in the house when the walls collapsed, and there was a point where we weren't sure if we were going to be able to get out. We were afraid the house was going to collapse, but the water was so bad outside. There were waves and it was so high. And there were a few hours where I was really worried the house was going to collapse, and my kids were here. And so, yeah, we're missing pictures and Christmas decorations, but I have my kids. We made it safe. The whole town did. No one died. So, thinking back to that night and what could have been, this is stuff. This is stuff. We can fix this stuff. You can't replace your kids or your family or your friends. So, don't worry so much about the future. It's probably the biggest thing people need to realize. You can't control Mother Nature.
It's a devastating thing to see the debris, and basically what you're looking at is
Their whole
people's
life.
lives all piled up at the curb, ready to get picked up with a dump truck and carted off to the city dumps.
Your whole life.
All in one shot.
outside in the curb.
And you know, hard to fathom the idea that the day before, this was a nice town. It was, people were going about their business. People were getting in their cars and putting their kids in their car seats and going to work and going to the playground and everything else they were doing, like business as usual. And then the next day, you can't even live in your home. It's freezing. Right now, it's about 30 degrees inside the house.
I mean, it took 3 days before the lights came back on. After the lights came back on, reality set in. And when people started coming out to their houses, the damage in a home that you lived for such a long time, it looks like crap. It took me 3 weeks before I could go to the beachfront. When I went to that beachfront, I actually cried because it looked like a war zone down there. Homes that from people that lived down there. There was nothing left. A lot of stuff got washed out. A lot of stuff in my backyard. When the water receded, it sucked stuff right out. My wife took it hard. She doesn't even want to come here. She doesn't want to come here. She gets real depressed every time she has to come here to see this. It's hard on her. It's hard on all of it. I got 2 kids, 13 and a 14-year-old, and they're having a hard time with it too. Because for the first few weeks we were all separated. We had to stay at one place while they had to stay with friends up here so they could go to school. And not only that, all the kids here aren't having an Easter break because they were out of school for so long because of Sandy. They can't afford to be out any longer, or else they're going to go June, July. They're going to go into July going to school. And I'm sure a lot of kids here don't want to do that. They want to enjoy their summer vacations, just like all of us. But summer vacation for a lot of us is going to be rebuilding.
Well, we had a restaurant up the street that was destroyed. We decided, since it's been taking so long and my nature is to work, so we rented this location as a temporary location for a year. My last name is Dorr, D-O-R-R. I went around and, because one day I was sitting with my manager, I'm thinking, Dorr, what do we do with Dorr, trying to think of a name. I had another business, it was Pluggy's Place, Inc., which was a deli. Our LLC was The Doors Open. So I was trying to figure out how to incorporate door into this. And I thought of actual doors. So we went around all over town to people's homes who were torn down, who were ripped down, who were blown away. And we started collecting the doors and we restored them into tables. And we have, we kept, instead of having table numbers, we have the people's addresses as the table number. I'm gonna call it, our restaurant was called Jacob Bob's Bay. I'm gonna call it Jacob Bob's Off the Bay, because Jacob Bob's on the bay is in the bay. Gotta have a little humor. Gotta keep you going. This family, this is Katie Ostrovich. She drew one, these are her closet doors. She painted one, I painted the other, and we put them together. So this is one big table for their family. We just have all the doors. I'm very excited about this because all the doors really represent everybody in town. So I think it's a good feeling of hope. We think in the beginning people are going to come in, they're going to see their stuff and be upset. So we have a lot of tissues out.
Yeah.
But I think it's okay. I think we'll be okay. This is 705 Front is the house that was, it's half, it was like, it almost looked like Godzilla came in and clawed half of it out. John called me and he is proposing to his girlfriend Meredith. So on Sunday, he's gonna do it in front of the door. He's gonna come in, so we're gonna do champagne and strawberries and, yeah. I think everything has a story, like everybody has.
Absolutely.
And down here, I mean, you can see how it's all beat up.
Absolutely. So that made it. Every headline ever.
Now, this is Marissa's door. Marissa is my manager. She's still in our basement. Her daughter and her parents, their house is gone. We had 15 extra in our house.
I know you did. So the only ones left are the three of them?
Four.
Okay.
This is George Trampler's door.
George, oh.